How did I get into writing? I would say, I mean, my standard answer is that I feel like I've always been writing. And to a certain extent, that's true. Pretty much since I learned how to write, I have been writing. I felt like too many words inside of my skull. I would get in trouble in class. I was a great student, and this isn't me bragging or anything, but I didn't get in trouble for like causing a disturbance. I got in trouble because I would daydream and I would just make up stories in my head and go off on complete, side plots, full plots, romantic interest, multi-day adventure. Yeah, I mean, Tristan Strong wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Danielle Clayton, who, first approached me about like, hey man, you should really write this story about our folklore as gods, write this new literary canon, if you will. And because that's really what all folklore is. Folklore becomes legend, but it starts as a story that someone decides to tell, right? And so we decided to tell a story that brought characters like John Henry and Anansi together, characters like Gum Baby, characters like the people who could fly, Brer Rabbit, all of them together into this world, this shared world, combining the African diaspora of storytelling and threading the story of a boy who's dealing with grief through it. And it was ambitious, I think, because I tell people all the time, I was terrified that something like this would not get published again to the magnitude that it was being supported, right? So you have Rick Riordan backing it on his new imprint. You have Disney backing it that the imprint is with, and it's getting all of this marketing, all this publicity, all this press. You have, Barnes and Noble wanting to move it up to before the holidays so that it could be, a holiday, it could be supported throughout the major buying season. And meanwhile, I'm writing this and I'm like, I got to put this in. We got to put that in. This is a middle grade book and we're, over 100,000 words with it. And I remember my fantastic editors, Stephanie Lurie, telling me like, I wanted to cut and edit this, but I didn't know what to take out, And I was like, well, thank you. That, is mildly terrifying. I write books that are too long. They're way too long. And so, yes, it was a breakout success and it was incredible, fantastic. It was terrifying because this is my first book, debut novel. And as I'm writing all of these, I feel like I put a lot of personal grief situations in there. I was dealing with grief at the time. My children were dealing with grief at the time. Tristan is dealing with grief. All of the folk characters are dealing with grief. The gods are dealing with grief because of all of these terrible things that have happened throughout the book. And it was an interesting way to navigate that as you're moving through the same emotion yourself.